Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining the 2025-26 full stage launch webinar. We've got still some people coming in now and then, but I hope it's not too distracting. I'd like to start by saying, first of all, congratulations for making it to the full stage. And because the outline stage was very competitive this year. Before we get going with the main content, I just have a few technical notes for this webinar. By default, attendees are muted and the video is turned off. Turning off any VPN you might have switched on may improve your connectivity. And please submit any questions that are raised as the webinar progresses via the Q&A function. The chat function is disabled, also might be displayed differently, but you shouldn't be able to use it, and please don't. Please contact the sLoLa inbox if you've got any technical difficulties. Please also be aware that the webinar is being recorded and it will be shared with you the following days. However, the recording will be stopped before the Q&A session. We'll share general Q&A document with you as well when sharing the recording, so any kind of common or general questions which have arisen in previous years might be answered then as well. As already mentioned, with the Q&A function, please use it. If there are any questions which you'll have after the webinar, please don't be shy to contact us via the inbox, and one of us is going to answer your questions soon. We will only answer questions that are about general application process, and we'll be not answering any questions relating to specific applications today. If you've got any really detailed questions about your specific application, again, please contact us on the inbox. And questions about the UKRI funding service system should be emailed directly to the support funding service inbox, and please not to us. Just some quick introductions. We've got 3 panelists from the BBSRC today, which are Inbal and Sarah from the Research, Innovation and Funding Delivery side, and then myself from the Research Strategy and Program side. As already mentioned, the best way to get in contact with us is the shared inbox, also in case one of us is on holiday, so any kind of queries, questions or concern can be picked up at any time. The purpose of today's webinar is to restate what BBSRC is looking for in your full application, highlight general feedback from Outline Assessment Committee, which we call the Strategic LoLa Committee, so the SLC, and finally go through some FAQs or common issues we found in the last couple of years and we just want to already present to you, and it might answer any questions you already have. And of course, then we'll have a Q&A session followed by that. You can ask us questions. So just to dive in, what is BBSRC looking for in an sLoLa? And it goes without saying, but we are looking for truly exceptional proposals. And we define this as a proposal which very strongly meets all of the assessment criteria to the highest standards, and it's difficult to articulate how the application could be improved. Additionally, it is likely to have a significant impact. Full proposals will expand substantially on the outline applications you've already submitted. The vision is now expanding to 2,000 words and the approach expanded to 6,000 words. Please note that the high-level objectives should remain the same as they were in the outline proposals, unless there was specific feedback from the SLC about it. We advise that you take on board any feedback from the outline SLC, but it's up to you how much of the feedback you act on. However, please be reassured the committee is experienced and know what makes a good sLoLa project. So have a look what they had to say. Make sure you refer to the funding opportunity page for the overview of the sections of the submission, noting that all sections have space to expand, including sections on the strategic case, applicant and team to deliver, management strategy, and the data management and sharing section. Please do reuse parts of your outline applications, but remember these must be expanded on. The funding opportunity page contains way more detail than we are currently covering in the webinar, so please have a thorough look on that one. If there are sections on the form which aren't relevant to your application, for example, annual usage section, please just put NA on these, and this is flagged on the funding service, so it's clear that you can put that down there. Just a quick reminder of the assessment criteria which your proposal will be assessed against. I won't go into full detail into that because this is way better described on the funding finder page. It is really necessary that you meet all of the assessment criteria to a very high level to be competitive for this funding scheme. Carried over from the outline stages are the vision, approach, strategic case, and applicant and team capability to deliver section, which is already familiar to you. Further, for the full stage, it is important that we included the ethics and responsible research and innovation section, management strategy, and research and cost justification. Some notes on resources we want to highlight to you. So currently the call page states that you need to justify the application's more costly resources. And to avoid any misperception on this, we would just like to clarify that we still want a comprehensive breakdown of all of the resources required for the project, and they must be all justified. Please read the whole of the description again on the funding finder page, as this is very detailed explained here. Consider the assessment criteria for the resources. The resource requested should be fully justified and appropriate relative to the anticipated project outcomes. The panel needs sufficient information here to be confident that the resources requested ensure you can deliver the project as stated. Hence, that's why we want these sufficient details. Please note that all equipment below £25,000 will only be funded at 80%. But we need the 100% cost written on the form under directly incurring equipment. You will need to obtain 3 quotes for price estimates, which we may request if the application is successful. Please note that the full description of equipment costs is also again on the funding finder, and further links are there as well for you to consider and inform yourself. With this slide, we wanted to highlight some general questions that the BBSRC committee considers when assessing proposals. And this is articulated by a former committee chairs of ours. So questions you can consider for your full application is it of top quality, internationally competitive science? Is it addressing an important problem? Is it novel and exciting? Are the aims and potential outcomes of the grants crystal clear from the vision and approach? Does the accompanying data support the proposal? Is the work feasible? Have the applicants considered the potential impacts of the research? Can a non-specialist understand why the work is important? And is it appropriately costed? The full stage assessment process is outlined on this slide, and the whole process entails the external peer reviewing, a rebuttal period for you to reply to the external peer reviewing, the multidisciplinary panel, which is the full stage, and anticipated interviews as well. Deadline for submissions for the full stage proposal is the 5th of February 2026. And this year we have invited 15 proposals through to the full stage, and according to the budget we have, it's likely that we fund 3 to 5 proposals. Finally, from me, and then I'm handing over to Sarah, these are some common points of feedback from the outline strategic LOLA committee. Firstly, the committee asked that you clearly articulate the importance and the transformative potential, highlight what is the step change in knowledge the project will deliver, and also not just in specific field, but also on the health of UK biosciences more broadly. Explain how the project forms a single coherent program of work, achieving more than the sums of its parts. This relates to the strategic case section. Many proposals stated that they would seek to address a research question in a holistic way, but perhaps they did not adequately explain how. Diagrams of how the work projects interlink and a Gantt chart might help this section to support your proposal. Make sure you contextualize how your work fits in the field. panel members won't always know this basically. They may not be direct subject matter experts. So highlight how this research will complement existing work, and again, contextualize in a national and international context for science more broadly. Ensure that you have a clear, high quality experimental design. Make sure you include proper justifications for sample sizes or anything like that. And ensure that both wet lab and data analysis methods are fully clarified. Further, carefully consider the management and the legacy of the data. Most sLoLa projects will generate significant amount of data. So how will you ensure that data generated will be maximally impactful? So I'm going to hand over now to Sarah to take you through some common issues that we've seen in applications over the last few years. Sarah, over to you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Move on to the next slide. Thank you. So at the moment, before you submit your application, the principal applicant can edit it on TFS, and the research office can edit it on TFS, but co-applicants and the research office of co-applicants, if they're at a different organisation, cannot co-edit it at the moment. So we recommend that you edit the application offline together, and then the principal applicant can upload it. You have the capacity to embed figures in the application. There's a mandatory embedded Gantt chart in the approach section. For any other figures, can you please ensure that they're directly relevant and any text is readable, but the figure text will count towards the word count. Make sure that any legends are not part of the image. They need to be entered separately so they count in the word count. Please don't use the images to try and get round the word count. We reserve the right to reject any applications where they're abusing the image function, and that's not something we want to do at this stage at all. You've all been through the outline stage, you've been invited to the full stage, so the last thing we want to be doing is rejecting your application because you're trying to get around the word count by using the images. The standard BBSRC eligibility criteria apply. You can find this on our website on the guidance for applicants pages. We haven't carried out any individual eligibility checks for the outline for applications, so we advise that you refer to the guidance available on the website when putting together your application and check with us by email if you have any questions. It's really important that people involved in the application are correctly classified and costed, as there's no scope for amendments to fix any issues once the application has been submitted. Over the next few slides, I'll highlight a few examples of where eligibility of an applicant is unclear and provide some examples of things you can do to avoid this. So in this scenario, the project lead or the project co-lead holds a fellowship that does not outlast the project. This would make them ineligible, as the contract of employment doesn't outlast the sLoLa end date, which is a common issue due to the typical length of an sLoLa project. In this case, you can email bbsrc.lolagrants with a letter of support from the head of department or their equivalent, confirming the fellowship is considered of lecturer level, and if you're successful, the institution will extend any current contracts to cover the duration of the project. In this scenario, an applicant holds one position at a UK eligible institution and another position at an ineligible or overseas institution. This means they may become ineligible if they're not resident in the UK for 183 days or more per year. So we would suggest you use section 1 of the applicant and team capability to deliver section of the application to make it clear that the project lead or the project co-lead spends 183 days or more in the UK per year, or you can email us confirming that they spend this much time in the UK. In this situation, it's unclear whether the project lead or co-lead is lecturer level or equivalent. If their role is not lecturer level equivalent, they're not eligible to be employed on the grant as a project lead or co-lead. So again, we suggest you make it clear in the applicant and team capability to deliver section that the project lead or co-lead's role is lecturer level or equivalent, and you can email that information to us as well. In scenario 4, the project lead or co-lead holds a fixed term position that does not outlast the grant. Like in the previous scenario, this would make them ineligible if the contract of employment does not outlast the grant. Again, with this one, we would need a letter from the head of department confirming that if your proposal is successful, the institution will extend the current contract to cover the full duration of the sLoLa project. When putting together your core team, there are a number of roles that can be selected. These are project lead, project co-lead, researcher co-lead, specialist, grant manager, professional enabling staff, research and innovation associate and technician. Please note that all members of the core team must be employed at the organisation of either the project lead or one of the project co-leads. To give some detail on some of these roles, particularly where we're seeing common mistakes. Project leads were previously what we called principal investigator when applying through GES. There can only be one project lead on an application. Co-leads were previously co-investigators. Both project leads and project co-leads must meet BBSRC's eligibility criteria and be based at an eligible organisation. Further details can be found on our website. Researcher co-leads are a research and innovation associate who's made a substantial contribution to the design of the project and will be involved in the grant. As mentioned, they must be employed at the organisation of either the project lead or one of the co-leads. Specialists are individuals who bring specialist skills, for example, a data scientist or a specialist technician. Again, they must be employed at the organisation of the project lead or co-lead. More information relating to all of these role types can be found on the UKRI website, but if you have any questions, please contact us by email. So, project partners and subcontractors sometimes cause problems again. So a project partner is a collaborating organisation who will have an integral role in the proposed research. This may include direct cash contributions or indirect in-kind contributions, such as expertise, staff time, or use of facilities at no cost. Other than minor costs for things like travel, no costs can be claimed on a project partner's behalf. They should be listed in the project partner section and not in the core team, as they're not employed on the grant. A subcontractor is a third party that can be subcontracted to deliver a specific piece of work. They're paid at 80% of the full economic cost. Any details should be given in the justification of resources section, clearly identifying where the subcontract is. If they are private sector, they will have no IP or authorship rights. Do not include subcontractors in the project partner section unless they're doing like both or in the core team. The contributions of all parties mentioned in the application, regardless of category, need to be fully justified. And if you've got any concerns, just drop us an email. So for the full stage, some key dates for you. We're open now, ready for your applications. You need to get your applications in by the 5th of February, and I'm guessing that's midday on the 5th of February, but I'd suggest you have it ready before then.
Should be 4 o'clock.
4 o'clock on the 5th of February. The external peer review will take place between February and May, and then the full stage panel process will take place in late June to early July. Any dates applicants are required to hold in their diaries will be communicated by us if applicable. Finally, as a reminder, if you have any non-review requests, please email those to us and don't put them in the application. So thank you very much for coming today and listening to us. If you've got any questions at all, please use the Q&A function to ask any questions.
Brilliant. Thank you.